Keynote 5. Expand it, in French, into 5 to 6 paragraphs. Do not add suggestions or headings. Simply start expanding. This is the last keynote, so complete the story in this keynote. The keynote should consist of 3 paragraphs and 4 lines each. Your thoughts are not just passing words inside your head. They are the invisible blueprint of your entire life. Every action you have ever taken, every decision you have ever made, every relationship you have ever built or destroyed, all of it started with a single thought. Most people underestimate this. They treat their thoughts like background noise, something that just happens to them, something they have no control over. But Tony Robbins is very clear on this. Your thoughts are not accidents. They are habits. And like every habit, they can be identified, challenged, and changed. Think about the last time you told yourself you weren't good enough, smart enough, or strong enough. Did you question that thought? Did you ask yourself where it came from, or whether it was even true? Most people don't. They simply accept those thoughts as facts, as if the mind never lies. But the mind lies constantly. It replays old wounds, it exaggerates present fears, and it predicts futures that will never come. The problem is not that you have negative thoughts. Every human being does. The real problem is when you start believing them without question. Science has proven what great thinkers have known for centuries. The brain is neuroplastic, meaning it physically changes based on the thoughts you repeatedly think. When you consistently think in fear, in doubt, in lack, you are literally wiring your brain for failure. You are building neural pathways that make negativity your default setting. But the reverse is equally true. When you deliberately feed your mind with thoughts of strength, possibility, and purpose, you begin rewiring those pathways. You start thinking differently not by force, but by design. Tony Robbins often says that where focus goes, energy flows. This is not just motivational language. This is the mechanics of the human mind in action. Whatever you place your attention on expands in your reality. If you wake up every morning focusing on what is wrong, what is missing, and what could go wrong, your mind becomes an expert at finding more of exactly that. It filters your entire experience through a lens of negativity, and slowly, the world around you begins to reflect what is happening inside of you. This is why 2 people can live through the exact same circumstances and walk away with completely different realities. One sees opportunity, the other sees disaster. One finds strength, the other finds suffering. The difference is never the situation. The difference is always the thinking. Your external world is largely a mirror of your internal world, and until you change the thoughts running on repeat inside your mind, very little on the outside will permanently change either. The moment you truly accept that your thoughts are shaping your reality, something powerful shifts inside you. You stop feeling like a victim of life and start feeling like a participant in it. You realize that you have been handed one of the greatest powers a human being can possess, the power to choose what you think. And if you can choose your thoughts, you can choose your direction. And if you can choose your direction, there is truly no limit to where you can go. But before you can fully step into that power, you must first understand something even deeper about yourself. Something that most people spend their entire lives never confronting. Most people go through their entire lives reacting to people, to circumstances, to emotions, to thoughts, without ever stopping to ask a single question. Why do I feel this way? Why do I keep thinking this? Why does this pattern keep showing up in my life? The truth is, awareness is not something that comes naturally to most of us. We are conditioned from childhood to look outward, to focus on what is happening around us, rather than what is happening within us. And because of that, we remain strangers to our own minds, completely unaware of the invisible forces driving our every move. Tony Robbins has worked with millions of people across the world, from broken individuals to billionaires and world leaders, and he has found one common thread among those who are truly suffering. It was not their circumstances that were destroying them. It was their unawareness of the story they were telling themselves about those circumstances. People were living inside narratives they had never chosen, carrying beliefs they had never examined, and repeating patterns they had never questioned. The pain was real, but the source was hidden, buried deep beneath layers of habit, assumption, and unexamined thought. Awareness is the light that reveals what the darkness has been hiding. The moment you become aware of a negative thought pattern, it loses a significant amount of its power over you. This is because negativity thrives in the unconscious. It operates best when you are on autopilot, when you are simply reacting without reflection. But the second you shine the light of conscious attention on it, something changes. You create a gap, a space between the thought and your response, and in that gap lies your freedom. That gap, however small it may seem, is where transformation begins. This is not about judging yourself for the thoughts you have. Awareness is never about shame or self-criticism. In fact, one of the biggest mistakes people make when they begin this journey is that they become aware of their negativity and then immediately feel guilty about it. They add a new layer of negative thinking on top of the old one. True awareness is neutral. It is observational. It is the ability to look at your own mind the way a scientist looks at an experiment, with curiosity, not condemnation. You are not your thoughts. You are the one observing them, and that distinction changes everything. The practice of awareness must become daily and deliberate. It does not happen by accident. You have to build the habit of checking in with yourself, pausing throughout the day and asking, what am I thinking right now? What am I feeling? Where is my focus? Is this thought serving me or destroying me? These questions seem simple, but most people never ask them. And because they never ask, they never know. They remain on a treadmill of unconscious thinking, working harder and harder but never actually moving forward, because the real obstacle was never outside of them. Once you develop genuine awareness, you begin to see yourself clearly, perhaps for the very first time. You start to notice the specific triggers that send you spiraling into negativity, the specific words you use that shrink your confidence, and the specific moments where fear has been quietly making your decisions for you. And with that clarity comes something extraordinary, the realization that you are not broken, you are simply unaware of your own patterns. But awareness alone, as powerful as it is only the beginning of the process. Because once you can see the negative thought clearly, the next critical question becomes, what do you actually do with it? There is a common misconception that clearing your mind of negativity simply means stopping negative thoughts. People try to suppress them, ignore them, push them down, pretend they don't exist. And for a moment, it might feel like it's working. But what you resist persists. The mind does not operate like a delete button. You cannot simply remove a thought and leave an empty space where it once lived. Nature abhors a vacuum, and so does the human mind. If you remove something without replacing it, the mind will automatically reach back for what it knows. And what it knows, more often than not, is the very negativity you are trying to escape. Tony Robbins understands this at a fundamental level. He has seen countless people try to fight their way out of negative thinking through sheer willpower alone, and he has watched them fail, not because they were weak, but because they were using the wrong strategy. Willpower is a finite resource. It depletes. It gets tired. It breaks down under pressure. Relying solely on willpower to eliminate negativity is like trying to hold back a flood with your bare hands. It might work for a little while, but eventually the water wins. What you need instead is not more force. What you need is a better system, a deliberate and conscious practice of replacement. Replacement is both an art and a discipline. It means that every time a negative thought arises, you do not fight it, you do not shame yourself for having it, and you do not try to pretend it isn't there. Instead, you acknowledge it, you look at it clearly, and then you make a conscious decision to introduce a more empowering thought in its place. This is not toxic positivity. This is not about lying to yourself or painting a false picture of reality. It is about choosing the most constructive and truthful perspective available to you in any given moment. It is about asking yourself, is there another way to see this that serves me better? The thoughts you repeatedly choose to replace your negativity will eventually become your new default. This is the beauty of neuroplasticity working in your favor. Every time you catch a self-defeating thought and consciously replace it with one rooted in strength or possibility, you are laying down a new neural pathway. At first it feels unnatural, even forced. The old thought is a 6-lane highway, and the new one is a dirt road. But with repetition, with consistency, with daily practice, that dirt road becomes a pathway, the pathway becomes a road, and eventually the road becomes a highway. Your new thinking stops feeling like effort and starts feeling like identity. This process also requires you to become intentional about the beliefs that underpin your thoughts. A thought is rarely just a thought. It is usually the surface expression of a deeper belief. If you believe you are unworthy, you will produce thoughts of unworthiness no matter how hard you try to think positively. So replacement must sometimes go deeper than the thought itself. It must reach down into the belief system and challenge what is truly being held there. This is the work that separates people who experience temporary change from those who experience permanent transformation. Surface-level thinking gets surface-level results. Deep internal replacement creates deep and lasting change. What makes this process truly extraordinary is that it is entirely within your control. You do not need different circumstances, a different past, or a different set of cards to begin replacing negativity with purpose. You only need a made-up mind and the willingness to do the work consistently, even on the days when it feels impossible. Every replacement is a vote for the person you are becoming. Every conscious choice to think better is a small act of rebellion against the limitations your old thinking placed on you. And as those replacements stack up day after day, something remarkable begins to happen. You start to change not just how you think, but who you are. But as powerful as your internal world is, there is another force that has been silently shaping your mindset all along, one that most people dangerously overlook. You did not become who you are in isolation. Every belief you hold, every thought pattern you run, every emotional response you have, all of it has been shaped, influenced, and molded by the environment you have been living in. From the moment you were born, your surroundings began programming you. The people around you, the conversations you heard, the media you consumed, the energy of the spaces you occupied, all of it was quietly writing code into your subconscious mind. And most people never stop to question that code. They simply run it, day after day, wondering why they feel stuck, why they feel drained, why no matter how hard they try, they cannot seem to break free from the same cycles. Tony Robbins is direct about this. If you are serious about clearing your mind of negativity, you must become ruthlessly intentional about your environment. You cannot spend 8 hours a day surrounded by people who complain, criticize, and catastrophize, and then wonder why your mindset is struggling. You cannot consume hours of fear-based news, toxic social media, and negative entertainment, and then expect your mind to naturally gravitate toward peace and possibility. Your mind is not stronger than your environment, it is a product of it. The inputs you allow in will always determine the outputs you experience. This is not about being arrogant or cutting people off carelessly. It is about understanding that your mental health is your responsibility, and protecting it is not selfish, it is necessary. The people closest to you carry an energy that is either expanding you or contracting you. There are people in your life who, the moment you share a dream with them, make it smaller. There are conversations that leave you feeling lighter, more alive, more possible, and there are conversations that leave you feeling heavy, doubtful, and defeated. Pay attention to that. Your nervous system knows the difference even when your conscious mind tries to make excuses. Proximity is powerful. The individuals you spend the most time with are not just companions. They are mirrors, they are influences, and over time, they become contributors to the very thoughts running inside your head. Choose them with the same seriousness you would choose anything else that directly impacts your health. Beyond people, the content you feed your mind on a daily basis is equally critical. In an age where information is unlimited and attention is the most fought-over currency on the planet, the responsibility to curate what enters your mind has never been greater. Every video you watch, every conversation you engage in, every environment you place your body in is either depositing something valuable into your mental bank or withdrawing from it. The world will not slow down and filter itself for you. That job belongs to you and you alone. When you begin treating your mind like the sacred and powerful instrument it truly is, you will naturally become more selective, more protective, and more deliberate about what you allow in. And as your environment begins to shift, you will notice something inside you beginning to shift as well. But sustaining that shift requires one final and perhaps the most demanding element of this entire journey. Everything you have learned, every insight you have gained, every moment of awareness you have experienced means absolutely nothing without one thing: consistency. The world is full of people who had a powerful moment of clarity, who felt the fire of transformation burning inside them, who made a decision to change and meant it with every fiber of their being. But a decision without daily discipline is nothing more than a wish dressed up in emotional clothing. Consistency is the bridge between who you are today and who you are capable of becoming. It is not glamorous, it is not always exciting, and it will not always feel rewarding, but it is the only path that leads to permanent and lasting change. Clearing your mind of negativity is not a one-time event. It is a daily practice, a conscious commitment you renew every single morning when you open your eyes. There will be days when the old thoughts come rushing back, when the environment feels overwhelming, when replacing negativity feels exhausting and pointless. Those are not signs that you are failing. Those are the exact moments that define whether your transformation is real or temporary. Every single day that you choose to show up for your mind, to protect it, to feed it, to challenge it, you are compounding your growth in ways that are invisible today but will become undeniable tomorrow. The people who change their lives are not the ones who feel motivated every day. They are the ones who show up even when the motivation is completely gone. Tony Robbins has said it clearly, and he has said it repeatedly. It is in your moments of decision that your destiny is shaped. And the greatest decision you will ever make is the daily decision to refuse negativity a permanent home in your mind. You have walked through awareness, you have learned replacement, you have understood the power of environment, and now you are standing at the final door, the door of consistency. Behind the door is not a perfect mind free of all darkness, but something far greater. Behind the door is a version of you that is stronger than your circumstances, bigger than your fears, and completely unbreakable in the face of life's greatest challenges. That version of you has always existed. Consistency is simply the key that finally sets it free.